Sociocultural theory is a theory of human development based on the work of Russian psychologist Lev Vygotsky. Vygotsky theorized that learning, including second language acquisition, depends on other humans. So how does sociocultural theory explain second language acquisition? James P. Landolf of the University of Pennsylvania, who champions sociocultural theory in the work of Vygotsky, writes, "Human thinking is mediated by culturally organized and transmitted symbolic meaning. Humans use physical and symbolic tools, which we learned from other people, to form our consciousness and interact with the world. Language is one of the tools we use to mediate with ourselves and the world. So how do humans learn to use a new symbolic tool, specifically a new language?" Sociocultural theory proposes the zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development exists between what you can do by yourself and what you can't do at all. Language learning happens when you work with others to build on your existing knowledge and stretch just a little further than you can go on your own. That's the zone of proximal development. How does it work? Inside the zone of proximal development, Vygotsky tells us imitation is the source of instruction's influence on development. That means you get by with a little help from people you can learn from and imitate, namely, knowledgeable experts or peers. As you learn a language, what you can do on your own increases, and the zone of proximal development changes because you internalize the ability or knowledge and can then perform independently of other mediation. And that's how you'll learn a new language, at least according to sociocultural theory. So what are some applications of sociocultural theory and second language acquisition? First, sociocultural theory rejects Cartesian dualism and says that mind and body are combined. Language doesn't just happen in the mind. It happens in the real world and includes symbolic gestures and tools like computers. Next, sociocultural theory calls for theory and practice to be combined. Vygotsky argues that theory and practice must happen together in the actual classroom. The worry of whether or not theory or research applies to teaching is mitigated by the very nature of praxis itself. The research that tests the theory is practice, and the process that guides the practice is the theory. Finally, sociocultural theory calls for teaching and assessment to also be combined in the form of dynamic assessment. According to the theory, teachers must assess while teaching because students are constantly learning and changing their zone of proximal development. And if students are constantly learning, then not teaching during assessments is a waste of an opportunity for instruction. Unfortunately, in practical application, sociocultural theory has been criticized for not scaling very well. Each student has a different, constantly changing zone of proximal development, causing a great deal of time and effort on the part of the mediator or teacher to support individual learners. To conclude, some other applications of sociocultural theory. Later second language acquisition theories, such as complexity theory, identity theory, and the sociocognitive approach, respond to and adapt Vygotsky's work. It is a very influential theory in the classroom, often seen with the practice of scaffolding. Finally, it also provides a theoretical basis for peer collaboration and peer tutoring. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope this presentation has provided a good jumping-off point for you to learn more about sociocultural theory and second language acquisition.